Hello and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Link Startup Stories. Today I'm going to be speaking with Starlyn Haneman, who is a health coach and has just recently stepped into the full version of herself by embracing that this is her sole purpose. And so she's now in the process of transitioning from what was a very busy life into what is now a new form of busy in launching her business. And I was just spending some time getting to know her online and in chatting, and I just love her energy. She's very, very vibrant. And so I'm going to introduce her with this testimonial, and I'm also going to surprise her with this crazy background idea that I had, because I'm so proud of how she's showing up. And so when I was looking at her Instagram, I saw this and I took a screenshot and made it my background today. And I'll use it when I'm advertising this podcast so you guys can see what on earth I'm talking about and how crazy I am. Look at you.
There's so many of me.
Welcome, Starlyn. And look at you. Like, this brings tears to my eyes to see you showing up this way.
Thank you. It brought tears to my eyes making all of those. It was very vulnerable.
Yeah, right? And it's so awesome. Like, video is becoming something that's easier for me to express myself, and you can send your energy out there more. But what you guys aren't seeing who's listening is I took a screenshot off of her Instagram where she posts videos. So I've got like 9 Starlyn heads as the background in this Zoom call right now, because I just want her to appreciate, like, this is you showing up. This is you doing what you said you were going to do and doing it. And whether you're feeling those results yet or not, you're doing it anyway. And that is what the Powerful Link Startup Stories is all about, is, you know, we don't know what's coming. We're not hitting these 5, 6, 7 figure that everybody's talking about all the time, months or anything like that. But we just know that if we don't do this, a part of us like shrivels and dies up inside. So we're going to show up and do it. So I'm just going to introduce her by reading a testimonial, and then I'm going to hand it over to her because I'm really excited for her to share her energy and part of her story with us. So Starlyn's client here says, to be honest, I was slightly skeptical when Starlyn presented me with her program, but after some consideration and a strong desire to better my life, I dove in head first. Starlyn really listened to my goals and strengths, as well as my areas needing improvement. And I was surprised, by the way, that she was able to present new and fresh ideas to my stale and stagnant lifestyle. My favorite superpower of Starlyn is that she's taught me to forgive myself and allow for grace, all while helping me create new healthy habits. I'd recommend her to anyone who needs a reboot on a healthier way of living. She'll remind you how good living feels. And that is like a pure reflection of what you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Thank you for reading that back to me, because it's different when you hear somebody say it. And,
right?
Also acknowledging me with all of like the showing up, like it doesn't feel like it, because like, you know, Instagram engagement's down and people are, you know, like, so it's like I just keep showing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, maybe if I can just help one other person out there.
Yeah.
That's really all I'm after. Like, I just want to make this a better world for moms, and when they show up better, then they show up better for kids, and their kids can like what it is to take care of yourself and not just give yourself away and like one day wake up totally lost as to who you are. How to even start to care for yourself, because you're just like, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Like, you're just confused. So,
and that was your journey, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was totally my journey. Somewhere along the line, I just kind of stopped being me.
Mm-hmm.
Got a rabbit hole of like out drinking, like scrolling social media, feeling sorry for myself, and losing my kids, and just not showing up, not being myself. And came to a point of where it's like, okay, this isn't going to change it. I can either just keep killing myself, numbing out, not feeling alive, or I have to make a change.
And so what sparked that new level of awareness where you kind of caught yourself going, holy shit, this train is not headed to the right destination, but there's some momentum.
Right. Crippling anxiety was a massive part of it. There was, there's a horror story that of me dealing with crippling anxiety, starting meds, having adverse effects on my body, and shorting my pants on the way to a job interview, because it turns out there is a very small portion of people that have adverse effects like that when they take certain anti-anxiety medications.
And you got to be that statistic.
And I got to be one of those people. And it's vulnerable. And I've shared this on every podcast I've been on, because there might be someone else out there who's like, oh my God. And at first I thought, okay, that was a one-time deal. No, it happened again. And that was that crippling moment where I'm on the floor in the kitchen going, hey, I have choices to make. I can take the drugs and shart my pants.
Yeah.
Or I can not take the drugs and keep numbing out with alcohol and increasing my anxiety, or I can actually own my life and make decisions that will move me forward. And that was like the moment. So that was like my rock bottom, you know. It like I didn't wrap my car around a telephone pole. There was no like no CPS never take my kid. The moment where it was like, I don't want to be this person anymore. And just was like a journey to figure out what works, what is going to stick. And that's how it started.
That is like amazing life. Your life shit your pants into action.
It did. Yeah.
And
it was
that, like, there's just so much fun that could be had in that story. Like, I mean, I hope we can laugh about it now. You seem pretty surrendered and open and yes. In it. But you know, it's like we might look for signs for validation or outside green lights. But in the meantime, like the universe is slamming these things at you, and will take it to the point of shitting your pants to be like, boom, slap you on the head saying, dude, what are you doing? And you recognize that then. And then you started to look at answering the call. So what was that like? Like, was health coach ever in the radar, or was it?
I'd been going to school on and off. I started before I had kids, and I did it while I was pregnant, breastfeeding, raising a toddler, pregnant again, all that. And I was going to school to be food science.
Food science. Okay.
Because food fascinates me, I think. By feeding yourself well, like you're a myriad of things, right? Like that's the way I feel. So I've gone on and off. I still haven't completed the degree. It's fine, because I've realized that that's not where I want to be. I don't want to tell people what to eat at all, like that. I have no desire to do that, but I am fascinated by like how we treat ourselves. So during COVID, I was working nights so I could be at home with the kids during school. And I was just still feeling that calling to do something more other than my corporate job. And so I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and learned about health coaching. And it's a holistic approach of looking at all different areas of your life. It says it has integrative nutrition in the title, but it's looking at nutrition as anything we put into our bodies. So relationships, exercise, like everything that we consume and put our bodies into is the nutrition. So I did that, and then it was like, okay, great, I got a certificate. How do I get clients? Wait, where are they coming? Oh shit, I have to actually physically put myself, like, they don't just come to you. There's
like, oh, you wave your ticket here, over here.
I'm here. Like, everyone's like, no, I don't want to change my life. I don't want to, like,
you're not the popcorn guy at the stadium, right?
Yeah.
Game. Popcorn and beer over here. So there's so many cool things in that. And I can relate to the one where, you were looking, I can relate to a lot of it, but want to pull out a few things that you started to explore what you were feeling and how your heart wanted to share love on other people because of what you experienced, and because probably like part of your healing journey needed to manifest in some way. And this was the way that resonated for you to heal yourself, which then, of course, you know, will help heal other people, because often what we go through is so that we can find the lessons and then pay them forward, right? Because it's not just for us. Like nothing that happens to us is just for us. We're all oneness. We're all connected in different ways. And we all show up to serve for somebody, for that somebody. And so this was like a thought, a realization I had a few days ago of like, it doesn't really matter, and I'm using air quotes, like who the mentor is. What matters is that you find somebody to connect to and then pursue your own journey with them, right? And so this is like the underlying story of what you just explained or shared. And then that the first avenue wasn't necessarily aligned, was too constricted. So you found a different one that gives you some credentials, but now you still have to manipulate it into something that's going to work for you and, of course, make money. And like that, as I shared in the preamble, was like my online business manager journey was like, you know, follow all these systems and do all these standard operating procedures, and like it started to feel very constricting and institutional. And I'm still super addicted to a lot of, and I think a healthy addiction to the organizing part of it, but then massaging it into something better for us. And in your journey there, you identify that inner questioning and that inner like continued evolution until it comes into a place of flow and now establish. And so you've demonstrated that on your website, and you've allowed yourself not to be like too specific, right? You get to work at the higher level of strategy of overall health versus any of the specifics, because like there's just so much more room to play that way, isn't there?
There is more room to play, but also you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you can go to the gym all you want, but if you're living
Yeah.
off of McDonald's, are you really going to be healthy? Or, you know, you can be eating all the food, but if you're getting 4 hours of sleep a night,
Yeah.
like it's like you got to find the balance of what works for you and what makes you feel the best. There's no like one size fits all when it comes to health, because everybody has different, feels different.
Mm-hmm.
Foods or likes to move their body in a different way. Like, so it's like, I don't believe that like you have to go be on the treadmill for an hour.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
My joy comes from lifting weights. But some people hate that. They're like, oh, that's too masculine. I want to like flow and dance or do yoga. And for me, it's like, I know I need yoga, but it doesn't give me enough like resistance. I have a lot of feelings in my body, and I need that resistance. I need to have like that like in my life. And so I think that it's important for people to not get so focused on like following like, you know, people on Instagram and this is the way to do it. And this is like, that's not the only way to do it, you know. Or you start following a bunch of people on Instagram and you're like, there's 17 different ways. What's the right way? There's no right way. There's no right way. It's what works for you. So that's the beauty of coaching, right? Is like working with someone to help them figure out what they like. Because sometimes we're so confused, we don't even know. And we haven't given ourselves permission to even go out and try these things, or found a way to come out of like the fear of failure to try something new. You know, I'm a perfectionist. Trying new things, if I'm not good at something, really struggle to want to like do it, because it's like, oh, I don't want to make a fool of myself. So that's been a part of my journey, pushing myself to do things I don't like. I hate my voice and I hate being video recorded. Here I am.
Here we are. Here we are. Bravo and kudos and hugs and kisses to you for showing up. because listening to you, watching you, like you just all of a sudden you're like, "Boom, boom. I'm Starlyn, the health coach, and I'm going to help you heal. I know things that I need to serve you with, and you will benefit." And it is so gorgeous. And so here you were living this like tight, constricted, pressurized, stressful situation. Boom, you said yes and you dived in. So walk us through what it was like to quit your job and go full in on the business. And how did you support yourself through that? And what kind of conversations even did you have with your husband around that and or your children?
So my husband is the most supportive person in the world. He also knows that I am going to do things no
Anyway.
matter what. So he also knows I'll do anything I put my mind to. So there's so as soon as I was like, I really want to pursue coaching, like, okay, you do you. Like, and I was like, but I need you to we need a conversation. Like, no matter what I say, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm gonna support you and you're gonna do what you want to do. And so he's so supportive about it. Like, he wants me to live the life that I want to live. So I'm really lucky in that aspect. So he supported me like going to school and like going for my coaching certificate and all these things. As far as work, when I first I put in my notice in 2021 and said I'm going to go back to school. And this was when I was going to school at CSU for food science and human nutrition, while I was also simultaneously taking my health coaching certificate. I put in my notice and I was like, I'm just going to go back to school full time. I want to get my degree and move on. And they convinced me to stay part time. And I didn't know part time was an option. I thought it was only full time or nothing there. So I was like, okay. So I stayed on part time and I continued to do part time and I continued to go to school. I got my certificate. And then I was like, man, I really want to pursue this coaching thing. And so I finally figured out what I was going to do. I've been taking a coaching program to help me build my business because that part of
interesting.
Like, I knew nothing about business. Like,
yes,
I did not
right?
realize that when I became a health coach, I was also going to have to become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Like, that literally did not cross my mind. I have never wanted to do anything less. I've never wanted to branch out on my own. I've always just wanted to go and get a paycheck because I didn't want to be responsible for the taxes and the things I didn't want that. But now it's all I can see. I'm like, I don't want my future to be tied to someone else. I don't want my time and my energy to be going to making someone else a bigger paycheck. Like, I want that to be me. Like, every time I push harder, I get the payoff. So
where you leverage yourself, right? And there's no limit on it. And so it's so true, like this, for those of us who are working jobs and transitioning, like you said, I got my ticket, where's the clients? It's not like you put that on a resume and then go get a job in this new identity or this new skill set, right? So what was this business coach program? Or
I went through Soul Business Accelerator with Erica Carico, and it focuses on getting yourself out there into the community. So rather than like focusing on social media, it's get on podcasts, get yourself published, hold workshops, find actual humans that you can connect with, because it's so much easier to connect with a human like face to face, or even if you do it online, hold an online workshop. But to actually have connection versus just putting stuff on social media and you don't know who these people are. Like, there is a process for that as well. But
there's a zillion processes.
There's a zillion processes, and that's the thing where you can get lost in, just like people get lost in what's the healthy thing to eat. What's the right approach to build a business? There's 7 billion different ways to build a business. And so that's where I'm at of how do I do it? I'm so confused. What do I, So I think it's like one of those things of for anybody that wants to like do it, you just gotta find something and commit to it, commit to finding something that resonates with you and then just go all in on it, And I had to quit my job because I had too much on my plate.
Mhm.
And I could not live a life where I wasn't in alignment with what I was supposed to be doing. Like I spent years like, what's my passion? What's my purpose? I don't know what I should be doing in this world. And then all of a sudden it presented itself and I was like, I can't unsee it. There's no other way I can live. And now I'm just going through the motions every day. And I was just walking on another soul-sucking journey. And I was like, we've been there, done this. Let's not do this again. Like, let's not lose who we are. Like, we know what we're supposed to be doing now. So let's just go do it.
So you come from, like, you have to start to recover, right? From that place of realization or of unlocking the next level of yourself. And, you know, from all the tightness that you were in, you now have the goalpost or the lighthouse to journey towards, and that takes a bit of time. So this rock bottom that you mentioned, was that around the same time that you gave notice and they moved you to part-time?
No. So when I hit rock bottom, that was when I started my own personal journey. And
Okay.
it was a year before I started the coaching
Mhm.
certification. So 2019 is when I started my journey. So
Yeah.
it's been a solid 3 years. Like,
Yeah.
far overnight results as far as like, you know, changing their lives. And that wasn't like, it was 3 years before I started my business. So it was
Yes,
3 years of learning who the heck I was,
exactly.
what I was even trying to do. And that still, I feel like, morphs from week to week. Like I'm like, you know, like once you start to figure out who you are, it's like,
Mhm.
and you start to listen to yourself and trust yourself.
Mhm.
I'm having revelations on a daily. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I didn't know that about myself. Like,
It's so true, right? And so honor that space and time, because like the visual for me is I've unlocked, pardon me, a completely different cosmos of self, like this expansive space, like space. And there's so much, and it's going to take time to go in and explore it all. And I just really want the women who are listening to hear that from you, Starlyn, because it took 3 years to get there. And sometimes we may pressure ourselves to think, oh, I got the idea now. I know what I meant to do. I better go and do it. And if I don't do it quickly, it's going to disappear, or I'm not enough, or and instead, like, guys, it just takes the time it takes. But when you know it, see it, and take action on it, right? Start to take that action on it. And that is going to completely impact everything else that comes after. And it's a very small and subtle thing. And the analogy that I use is like, you know, we don't expect a baby to walk as soon as it comes out, but as we condition and age, we expect ourselves to go from, you know, crying and to like driving a car or something like that. So be gracious with yourself and embrace that journey and take time to explore all of it, so that you can really get dialed in and come alive. Like your energy is jumping out of the computer to me when you start talking about this stuff.
yeah, I'd like to add on to that. The like, you know, that journey. Like people hear 3 years and they're like, oh, that's the one. And like that's just 3 years to get to starting my business, right? And now I'm in the process of actually like. Here's the thing, I started this journey when I was 40,
Mhm.
and it's like if I would have been like, it's going to take me 3 years to even like kind of come to terms and figure out who I am. I mean, and it's still an ongoing process, right? Like every
Forever,
day,
forever now.
right?
You're taking the red pill. Which
And I
one's
keep,
what?
yeah, right?
In the
I'm like,
Matrix, which one do you take? I think it's the red pill.
so I'm like, okay, maybe it's going to take me another 3 years to figure out my business.
Yes.
46 years old. But guess what? I turned
Yes.
46 years old anyways.
Anyway, yeah.
So either you do the thing and push through,
Yeah.
or you sit and think about the thing and you still have all that time pass by and you've made no movement. So I just have to keep remembering that that time is passing anyways. So like it might take you, for people that want to lose weight or, you know, like make these massive changes in their lives, it's not going to happen if you do nothing. It might take you 5 years to get to that, like where you want to be, but that 5 years is passing anyway. So just do it. Just do it every day.
That is how you can collapse time, right? Because if that time is passing anyway, but you wait and you wait and you hedge, then where you could have been from year 1 to year 5, like start anytime. I really, like, it's never ever too late, but you could have results sooner, and not necessarily like massive results, but you start to move things around in that future outcome sooner. And then you may realize, like, oh shit, if I had started this, I would be here instead. And, you know, divine timing and all those things. But if the universe gives you that wake up call, that violent wake up call,
Yes.
which we have in different versions, you better listen and start to take that action. And what's beautiful about your story, Starlyn, is that action isn't necessarily like, you know, this grandiose, massive overnight revolution, which, as we talked about, is where we get fatigued seeing that online. And that's why we have these conversations, is to just like be the baby for the time that it takes to be the baby.
Right. Well, we don't see those in between, like, you know, like you see a before and after picture, right? But if you were to take a picture every day of a person that was on, I'll just use weight loss because it's the easiest visual, right? If you were to take a picture of a person every single day over the course of a year, between one day and the next day, you would see zero change. Zero change. So every day you get up and you're like, nothing's changed, nothing's changed, nothing's changed. But if you look at the first picture and the last picture, you're like, holy shit, I'm a different person.
Yes.
So it's, you have to like kind of like zoom out and look at the whole thing of like, how am I changing? And that's why like journaling to me is like, I rarely go back and read them.
But
But
they're
I
there.
want to start, but they're there.
They're there.
And it's just that process of getting like my thoughts and seeing how I've changed, right? Like in the beginning, journaling was like a huge thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like being grateful because I was just so caught up in how everything was wrong. And so it was like, be grateful. I'd write down 3 things. And some days like I'd be like, I'm grateful for water.
Yeah.
I am grateful for my house. Like
Yes.
it was like, and now it's like, I can think of a bazillion things to be grateful for. I can have a terrible night's sleep and I can be like, I am thankful for the comfortable bed I have. Like, but it's like just seeing how I've changed and what I can, rather than looking for the negatives, now I can find all the positives.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't the case. But here I am, like, you know, so it's like, it's nice to see how you can shift. And in business, that's the same way, right? Like, I was terrified to coach and meet with people. And now I'm like finding who my people are and who I want to speak to, you know?
And the measure that we, well, me listening to that beautiful share of progress, the measure and pressure, when I think about how's my business doing, is like, where's the money? But you remind me in what you just said that the money is not really the indication, because money is its own beautiful creative energy, and it doesn't like to be needed or like clinged to. And what's more important is how you're showing up and how your business is evolving, and how much more connected and like energetically charged you're being with what you're doing. And like, I know in my 3 years of online time with various levels of income, some years better than others, while working a full-time job, having kids, et cetera, I look back and I'm like, holy shit, like I made $10,000 in that year and I wasn't even trying.
Right.
So imagine what I can do when I try, and not getting attached to the value or the significance of the business creation in attachment to revenue, because revenue will come at the time of like, what would you like, of when everything is sort of clicking and simple to yourself. So talk us through now a little bit, like you figured out what you wanted to do, you went all in on it, now you're doing it. You took this course to help you learn how to run a business, because yes, thank you for sharing that. Business owners, you have a great idea and you know that you must serve it and that it will make you money, but you are running a business at the same time. And that business needs to be cared for in the same way that you need to be cared for, and in the same way that a client needs to be cared for. Because when you serve your business that way, your business will serve you. And this is like what lights my fucking fire to the skies and has been my journey in being an organizer that, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here, being an organizer that was trying to do a round peg in a square hole because of my strong Capricorn, data systemized linear brain, and has evolved to now be more meeting in the same way, Starlyn, that you describe your health coaching program, custom to that person's needs, but based on a framework of some kind, right? And so when I meet business owners and they're having momentum and creation and things like that, then I love to hear about what they're doing in the back end of the business to make that the client side of it worthwhile. So that course you took, was it useful, and did it help you build a framework around the admin and operations of the business?
Not so much like the admin. I mean, it was like, hey, get a website. So it was like, oh my God, how do I do a website? So I wound up getting a website designer because I tried to do it myself.
Okay.
That is not my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I was like, I will spend all of the brain cells and patience and energy I have in the world, and I will still be frustrated and it will be not great. So I'm like, I'm going to take money and put that to use to someone that enjoys doing this. And save my energy, because I'm a DIYer to the core. If I can do it, I'm not going to pay somebody. Like, that's just how it is when it comes to housework, all the things. We're doing all of the plumbing, the electric. Like, that's how it is.
Cool.
So it took a lot for me to be like, nope, someone else can do this.
That's great.
Like, pay somebody to do the website. Okay. Yeah. And so then it was like they set up like with my MailChimp and all these things, but now like that person's gone. So now it's like, okay, I need to make a newsletter. How do I do an email nurture sequence? What the hell is an email nurture sequence? Okay, here we go, Mr. Google. Let's watch some YouTube videos. So okay, I devour YouTube, for lunch. Like that's like, I'm constantly seeking out different like ways to figure out how to do things. It's messy. It's painful. But you can only have so much money going out to have other people do things. And I truly think that if you can figure out how painful it is and what's involved, that then once you are to a place where you do have the income and you can give that away to someone else, whether you have a VA or an OBM or any someone that can take that on, you then what it takes,
yes,
and you have some concept of what it is.
Yes,
give it away and not have any idea of what it is. Like I was a motorcycle mechanic. I like to know how things work and to have an idea of what's happening. I don't like to just not know. I have to know things. So it's painful, and sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this? But knowing that the other side of things is important, but it is definitely not my focus. Like I really just want to coach people and not have to. I don't want to have to figure out MailChimp or Squarespace. Like that's that.
But you want to get paid and you want to share your message.
Want to get paid, so it's like, okay, these are the things you have to do to get paid. You have to be available to people to like have them find you or communicate with them.
And what's so beautiful about that is, and you said it perfectly, like you're your future CEO now. This is your business. And maybe you'll sell it and maybe it'll change, etc. But if you don't have that detailed level of personal responsibility and general understanding, then you're just like floating like, oh, I don't know, I just sell through posting on Facebook. Like, that can work, but and maybe I'm just stuck on this, you know, being so like robotic in some ways, but a business is like its own entity, right? And so it is helpful, careful with my words, helpful to create something that can exist without you, because you have a family, maybe you want to go on vacation, right?
That's
And
what we're doing this for, right?
wouldn't it be great if you were on vacation and you got bing, 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 3 bookings that all took place without you having to be there, without you having to answer that email and schedule that starting session, right? So these are the things where the business serves you. And as the CEO from day one, not knowing what you need to know, which is life in general, you just learn shit on the fly, taking that responsibility and at least, like you said, having that general understanding for the future, right? We're kind of starting with that future in mind, bringing it back and always having that shared connection to keep it organized. And then too, it's great that, you know, already you're giving yourself deservingness. You are open to receiving, and you are not going to bunch yourself up into something that's really going to be a dead end, like the website. Like I do my own website and I can't fucking wait to hand it over. And I have paid somebody a time or two to go in and just finesse things. But I also, you know, it's not as much of a barrier for me. Like I'm okay with tech and that sort of thing. And it's been 3 years and it's evolved multiple times and like I'm in the flow there, but there's other things that are really wonderful to hand off. And as a startup, like you don't need a conditional milestone to get them, right? Like if we were starting a proper store, brick and mortar store, it would cost a shit ton of money.
Nope.
And doing stuff on the online space is a hell of a lot cheaper. And there is like, you know, again, that 7 billion and 372 variations of ways to have things done that doesn't have to cost $1 million. So I love that. I really want people to hear that even at the beginning, it's okay to go and have a few, you know, startup operating costs. And there's grants and all kinds of different things that, you know, can support the finances for that too, if they're not available from the home bank account. So, I mean, just kudos to you. And so now, you know, building off of that, you've mentioned that where are the clients, right? And like, what kind of strategies are you doing? Are you just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, or are you?
Sometimes it feels like that.
Are you using anchoring into any strategy? You mentioned these collaborations and different.
So I've been like, it started out with, you know, to get, you know, I know loads of moms that are burnt out and overwhelmed, and that's who my target market is. I want to help moms who have lost themselves or overwhelmed, burnt out. They just feel like they're in survival mode constantly. And I want to get them to where they're happy, healthy, and thriving. That's the name of my program. I want them to find that energy and confidence again, right? Like we had that when we were younger.
Yeah,
and then
sure
it
did.
slowly just sort of gets sucked away and we give it
My
all away
kids.
to our kids. We give it all to our kids.
Love them though. Wouldn't
Right?
trade it.
Right? So I reached out to friends, people in like that I knew that I was like, hey, they knew what I was doing, right? So it was like, hey, I'm offering this. And so I got them in, like I was like, hey, I want to get, you know, more experience. I'm offering this discounted price to start
Like
for
a
this
beta
many
group.
people. Yep.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
put them through beta program. And then I've started, I want to get into corporate where, because I think there's so many moms that are working, and so many corporations have like health programs. They want their employees to be healthy. But let's face it, having a once a month seminar that the hospital puts on how to cure your diabetes is helping no one.
Yeah.
It's truly not. Like, where do you go from there? How do you implement these changes? So I want to help these people like actually make changes that are sustainable and lasting. So
that implement in, right? That
Yeah.
integrate
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Everybody knows that they should be eating more vegetables and less McDonald's, but if you don't know how to do it or you don't know how to start, you can't make it stick. So I think that working with corporations and finding those moms that are working and are busy, because that's exactly who I was, you know? So I'm not coming at people like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom with all the time in the world. My kids are at school and I can work out for 4 hours a day. Like, that's not like, how can you make this work in your life with a job, with kids? Like, let's make this be real. So I think that getting into that space, that's where I'm working towards right now, is getting with corporations to do that. And in the meantime, getting on podcasts to get the word out there. And then Instagram, really like reaching out to people, like just, finding people that speak to me and just, being like, hey, you're doing a great job, because I just want to spread the joy and let people know that there is options out there for them that aren't, cookie cutter. It's this program and this is what we do each week. Like my program is, I have a overall plan, but it's tailored to each person. So I think it's important that people, know that that is an option out there. So yeah, it's been a little bit of spaghetti, a little bit of strategy, but
well, what you say spaghetti, but what you just articulated back is a lot of strategy, and it also is being able to see outside of survival mode, right? And so you're no longer at corporate, you're in your business full time. The family income is enough to support this and also adds a comfortable amount of pressure on you to generate revenue out of this business. And now you're allowing for creative and like I said, non-survival mode planning to find places to really have this stick, right? So we can get clients through the social media space and depending on the program and that sort of thing, but you're already looking for a deeper way to deliver it. And that is a really good strategy, what you just described. And in the online space, it can get kind of noisy. So when we team up and collaborate and leverage off of each other, it's like, it's online networking, but it's meaningful, right? And like I've started to be a bit more intentional with who becomes friends. Like I want real relationships. I don't want volume. I want meaningful connection. I want to know your voice. I want to know how to pronounce your name. You know what I mean? Like I want you to be an actual person and not just a metric in my overall following audience, right? And when we can sink into that, again, it's that detachment of the money and really building something robust and thought out, that we can start to get a little more serious in it being a business, right?
I think to go off that, the not letting money pressure you into doing or being something that is not aligned with you, because we do feel a lot of pressure. Like we have to pay bills. Like let's face it. Like we're not quitting our jobs and going after our dreams to go live in a cardboard box. Like that's not what we're trying to do here. But we have to take that money aside and do what is in us, because with that light and that joy and that energy, our people will find us, like we will come together and the money will come. And that's where my husband's been great, because I quit my job and a week in, I'm like, I've got no one. And he's like, you have been doing it for 1 week.
Yeah.
Like, talk to me in a year. Like,
Yeah.
you can't expect this to be an overnight, like I'm making $10,000 a month overnight. Yes. So it's trying to remind yourself that just be who you are, be authentic, keep showing up, and eventually that will pay off. Like, just you sometimes just gotta, like get things tight around the house, and how can you cut expenses, and like you gotta live a different way for a while. Okay. but
But
in the
you're
long run,
casting
worth it.
lines into new opportunities as
Yeah.
well, right? Because um, it's taking that next level, that CEO ownership of the business, not just like, I'm going to pick up my phone. You guys are listening. You can't see, but hi, da, 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 you know, sort of thing is like, no, I'm actively seeking out opportunities while showing up and being like, hi, da, 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 at the same time. So sometimes what we see isn't the only thing that's going on, right? And I love that you are looking for those different things. And for people who are on podcasts, like, you know, leverage that. The whole point of this for me is so that we can share each other across our networks. And like, as always, peel back the curtain of what it actually fucking means to have an online or in-person business and get it going, like pull that jet plane into a space of momentum before we're in that momentum. Because a lot of us are on the ground phase, and I think I shared this in another podcast, but this one mentor that I meet with once in a while when she has free discovery calls, like she's a good vibe. Anyway, I haven't worked with her yet. I've worked with others, but she said we met about 18 months ago, and she was like, you know, Mia, you're still hanging in there. You're still going. People that I met around the same time as you have fallen off. So having that stamina, that endurance, longevity, and that scary, but, you know, unwavering faith in the unknown is another really key element. And that's why we don't want to approach this in a survival mode method. In some cases, maybe we need to, because money situations and different things, right? But what's so beautiful about this conversation is like your coaching, your health coaching business is a real parallel example to, you know, the approach on the more masculine side of what creating and growing a business is. And it is this full wheelhouse of things.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, super. Well, man, like, I mean, we're getting near our time, kids, etc. The rest of the day has to get going, but Starlyn, this is just such an absolute treat, and I'm so grateful for you to show up and share your heart with me and people who are going to be listening to this. And, you know, I look forward to creating a community. One of the things you mentioned was, you know, where is a community for startup business owners? And this is a big part of what I want to provide and be in for myself as much as for those who are looking for it. So, you know, I look forward to growing an online friendship with you until perhaps one day in person, and supporting each other. And if there's ideas or things, strategies you want to bounce off of, you know, please do that. And I look forward to sharing you with my audience and watching you blossom into this, because like your energy's there now. That divine feminine energy is there. Now you just need those masculine, you know, process pieces to come into place, and they will, hands down.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. Having a community for people that are just starting is so needed, so important, because not everyone is making $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 months. Like, just watching those things can be depressing. It's like, you know,
or like unrelatable, right?
Totally unrelatable.
And then you go into scarcity or judgment or comparison, and those people, like you mentioned earlier, like we're seeing the tip of the iceberg. We're not seeing what happened underneath.
Yeah.
But what happened underneath is, to me, is more like, what did you go through to get there? And then when I hear of you know, entrepreneurs who are like, oh my God, I was just so broken and so ready and so this and that, and then things started to change, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm on track.
Yeah, all we're seeing is that we're just seeing the final transformation photo. We're not seeing them every day sweating it out in the gym, and like we're only seeing that final transformation like picture where you're like, oh, look at what they have. We don't know what they went there to get. There needs to be more of that, and more of it in the beginning, of where it's just real ugly and messy and downright painful.
Yeah, so it's like being a baby out in a snowstorm.
Yes.
And now Mama Mia is going to come and hold space for all of us, because I'm going through it too.
Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, super duper. Awesome. Oh, well, you're just such a joy. So I look forward to, like I said, continuing our relationship. And thank you again so much for coming on. Now, do you have a freebie you want to promote before I?
If you just want to go, you can find me on Instagram at Wholesome Rebel Wellness, or my website is wholesomerebelwellness.com.
Perfect. Good.
That's how you find me.
I'll put that in the show notes, as they
All right.
say.
Yeah.
Super. Thanks, love.
All right. Thanks, Mia.